educational research at Tennessee State University, who is explaining some of the new trends and new technology in reference to the computer and the internet. And of course, Mr. Perry, let's see if we might pick up where we left off the last time dealing with this particular topic.
Okay, well, there's also some new trends that are out there, such as something called GIS, Geographical Information System, which we have some of that at our school as an institution. It's taught by some of your colleagues. They, what it does is it takes a lot of databases, and actually puts that data into some kind of format that can be projected onto the internet as maps and as graphs, and be able to give you an idea. Say, for instance, if there was a restaurant that you wanted to start in a certain location, but you wanted to know what that location existed of, you can take the data from the census pool, put that in there, see how many people come in and out at a certain time, and you're able to say, okay, this is a good location that I can put my restaurant to start a good business.
And so technology is of such now that you no longer have to go through those long trends of marketing as they once did a long time ago, and have people standing around and checking and making sure that certain things happen, etc. But you can do all of those things in almost in one place now. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, and you know, there's places like YouTube and MySpace and Facebook. All these places provide people a sort of community where you can go and find out information. Sometimes not all the information makes much sense, but it's all there at one location. And just to show you how diverse it can get is that YouTube at one time did the Democratic debate one time, where they were able to ask questions to the candidates, and that information was passed along in the debate and kind of changed the way that people do debates now.
As a matter of fact, this whole thing about the computer, I understand, has in a significant way, I think as you're indicating, has in a significant way changed American politics. Now, what about this whole idea of people becoming involved on the internet in terms of campaign contributions and things like that? I understand that that's one of the new areas there.
Well, anybody and everybody and anybody is able to put a website up if they so choose. The thing is, if you put it out there and offer whatever it is that you're trying to sell or promote, it's out there for the entire world to see. And sometimes if it's promoted or it's been advertised very well, such as some of those candidates do, and you know that that's the purpose of it, then millions of people are able to donate to that cause.
And so the computer really has changed almost in every aspect of our existence, and web page designs, I think, has become rather simple now. Is that what we're saying?
They have become simple, but at the same time, they're a little bit more complex because people's imaginations are more involved in it, where you have some people that are actually able to put together macromedia programs for you that set up in a template. So all you have to do is put your information inside of, whether it's a movie clip or just plain text, pictures, and you're able to just dump your information in there, and using that template that has already been produced, and you have a fantastic website that is very presentable, neat, and packaged up already.
And so in a real sense, where we started, I think when we started, you had to know a lot about codes and had to, in a real sense, go back behind the scene and look at all of that information. But now, is that information still important? I mean, who should be concerned about that kind of information?
That information is very important still, because sometimes when you do get a template, you have to go back and say, okay, I really don't want this in here. So you got to go and tweak your information to make sure that it's set up for just the way you want to. And knowing those codes helps you find where the problem may be as far as setting your template up the way you want it, and what color schemes and things like that.
And so the codes still play a very, very significant part, especially those individuals who want to become very much more involved in it. But you also have those other possibilities of being able to. Now, what are some of the spillovers in terms of what we might be able to achieve dealing with these web pages? I mean, oftentimes we try to introduce some of this information into some of our classroom situations. We're not exactly sure about whether or not you know, the process has been successful or not. And is there any real method whereby we might be able to measure the impact that some of these things are having on a general student population, for example?
Well, you see some of the impact just from listening to the news, and you see some of the negative things that come out of it too, because you see a large group of people that are after the children now, that are targeting the children and trying to get them to come over for some not so good things that are that they have on their mind. And you have to do a lot of protection for yourself, for your information, where a lot of security has to come into play. So we have to be secure about the things that we put out, and very, very tactful at what we want to put out about ourselves, and make sure that we protect those that the young kids like that once they get on these MySpace pages where they're not actually on there by themselves or not in view of a parent, so that they can protect them from whatever pedophile that's out there that may want to harm that child.
You know, I think you mentioned over the last couple of minutes that we might have here, you mentioned security in terms of security of the information that you have, and that there's a possibility that people might be able to interfere and perhaps change most of your information. Is there any system now that, that better secures what you already have placed on the internet?
A lot of times, once you put your information out there, it's safe that it's not going to be changed in that location. But let's just say someone wants to do something, they can actually take your information, set it up in another location, and then make it seem like your information is here, and they can produce whatever it is that you're selling the same way, and they can benefit off of your information, which is in another location, but they have it set up in here.
And that's where technology is now. So and of course we're getting ready for our second commercial break. But when we come back, let's see if we can move a little farther in terms of how we might be able to recognize that and how we might be able to prevent it. And of course we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short